Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Crumb Bum Deluxe secret meeting. I hope you all remembered your decoder ring or something. I don't know, I'll probably cut that part out. Anyway, tonight we're talking about Supergirl, and I'm also joined by my buddy Odd Behemoth. He's going to share some words as well and thoughts about this film. We were able to see with our Regal Unlimited passes an early fan-first screening of Supergirl, so it was pretty nice getting to see it last night because I had the day off from work, and it was fun. But without further ado, go ahead and say hi, Maddie.
Hi.
All right, yeah, that's Maddie. I mean, that's my buddy Maddie, also Odd Behemoth. I am the Crumb. Those are our code names.
You can call me whatever you like.
Shit, I forgot our code names. Anyway, the government's coming after us.
We'd be terrible.
Secret meetings no more, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, first off, I'll just say that I really enjoyed watching this film. I'm glad it exists. I loved the dynamic between Kara Zor-El and Ruthie, the two main characters. Ruthie was awesome. She's such a sweetie poo. And Kara Zor-El's a badass. A lot of the time I was like, she ain't just Supergirl, she's a superwoman. They also kind of joke about that in the movie. We will be talking spoilers on this one. If you want a non-spoiler review type video of Supergirl, check my other video, also linked somewhere down below or something like that. But I really enjoyed pretty much everything about it. I like Jason Momoa's Lobo. I think he still has some work to do on the character, to be honest, but I like that he's having fun and it fits more of his personality than Aquaman ever really did. Some of it was a little corny, but you can tell he's having a blast, so I really liked that. The villain I thought was super lame. The design looked lame. He was just there as filler to kind of help the story along, which actually it was a really good story, I'll say. So, you know, in that regard, he was serviceable in his role as the villain and was menacing enough, you know, to keep the tension and the drama real. I loved Krumholtz's David, I think is his first name. I'm forgetting his name right now. Krumholtz's performance as Zor-El, Kara's father. It was really emotional. I almost shed a tear there with those two. It was great. I love seeing the pod. I love seeing the reference to Kal-El shooting off to Earth. I also loved the moral dynamic between, or in between, really, we'll say, of Jor-El, Clark's father, who's in this continuity sent him to be a conqueror, and in this one, Zor-El, Kara's father, was much more compassionate to the weaker and people who couldn't stand up for themselves, and imbued her with the responsibility and knowledge that she will possess great power on planets with yellow suns. And, all the lore was there. This is the first Supergirl movie since the 80s, and I think it was pretty fantastic, but it's not without its issues and, a few little gripes, I think, from both me and Odd Behemoth. What are your feelings on Supergirl, my friend?
I had a lot of fun at Supergirl. I've read the Woman of Tomorrow comic that it's loosely based on. It's been a while, though, so I can't go like, well, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But I really enjoyed the movie. I thought Amelia Alcock was great as Supergirl. I think she just gets the humor. I think most of the lines she has to deliver that were humorous, she landed them. I really believe that she was this,
Right, yeah.
Kind of didn't know who she was. But then when she steps into the role of Supergirl and puts on the suit, it was just like, oh shit, she can do it. And I thought all the action scenes were great for the most part. They're pretty inventive with the way she fights. I like the differences between the way she fights as Supergirl and then what you would see Clark fight as Superman,
right.
Which to me he's always more punches and throwing and stuff, and I like that she added more kicks, more I guess kung fu if you will to the equation, a lot of leg sweeping and just cool stuff. That's what I was expecting. I just didn't want to see her punch and kind of do I just thought it was really inventive a lot of the ways that she fought. I also agree with you. Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever she learned.
I really did not like the villain's look. In a chat with our friend group, I called him a dollar store Cenobite. For those who don't know, that's Cenobites are from Hellraiser. Watch some Hellraiser flicks. But yeah, I just didn't really like this. I just didn't really get why they decided to do this kind of S&M bondage villain look for him.
And I get that.
And I get that they needed to maybe do something a little different from the comic, because that guy's like red big beard, red hair, and kind of dresses sort of like a pirate / Robin Hood. And I get that that's not as menacing as someone who is into S&M and maybe eats children, or but loves pie and needs swords and like, but I just felt like the design was a little off. Like I just.
Some scenes he had it, some scenes he didn't, and as far as being menacing, other times it was kind of goofy. But I think he was able to push the plot along at least.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't. I mean, the more I think about it, I don't know if I needed like the Crim character. You could have just had this group of, God, I forget what do they call them? They're always looking for the bandits, or I forget what the
brigands.
The brigands. Yeah. I wish it was just like a group like the Reavers or something, and one kind of was the ringleader. Yeah. And you could have just cut Crim out of it, because basically all they're fighting is with the whole group of them. They never have like a one-on-one super tussle. I mean, when she like fucks him up, it's kind of crazy. Like the amount of damage she does was a really cool scene.
Yeah, she does.
I thought Momoa as Lobo was great. I don't think some of his jokes don't really land the way you would like them to, and I don't know if that's a script thing or a Momoa delivery. Because when he does land them, they're good, but then when they're off, they're like off. But not like Skeletor, Masters of the Universe for me. I definitely thought this was better.
My theory with Momoa is that a good director always gets a great performance out of him, like Denny. Yeah. But he, when kind of left to his own devices with this character, I'm sure, and Craig Gillespie. Are you aware of any of his other films? I'm trying to think of where I know his name from.
Yeah,
what else did he do?
Oh my gosh, give me two. I think he did Lars and the Real Girl, but I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah. That one's a while back. But yeah, I think. His Lobo, I think, just needs a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of spice added. It's almost there. He's got the look, he's got the attitude. His delivery on Bastich, it didn't come out the way I expected. I didn't read the comic for that. This film is largely based on Woman of Tomorrow. I've heard it's great. The artwork I've seen is gorgeous, but with the addition of Lobo in this film. What was I getting at? But yes, the villain in that comic, he looked way more in accord with what was going on. You could have even made him maybe even more alien looking, which would have been kind of cool, but maybe that deviates too far. I did have a thought during when they're on like kind of the shuttle from planet to planet or whatever, that I was like, for a moment I was like, this is some really good science fiction, where I love this lived in atmosphere. It has some Guardians of the Galaxy flavor to it, but that's not a bad thing. It does also carry a little bit of Star Wars in there, where it has this lived in kind of feel to it, these aliens that are day to day. I liked that she possessed human music, and actually the band at that bar were playing like a human song. So I'm like that's so interesting. Like, have other I'm sure other human Green Lanterns or somebody has gone on and off planet. So there's something deep there, that I saw with that band playing like a human song on an alien shuttle. So anyway, it harkened to some of the best moments of, the Star Wars prequels or Fifth Element or stuff like that, where you feel really like this lived in kind of feel. A lot of that in this.
I really like that as well. I really like that most of the things she ran into were alien, and they looked alien, and they weren't just like. I really like that, and that was like probably my issue with like what Crim looks like compared to like there were some really cool alien designs. I was like, this dude's way scarier. Like the dude she fights on the horse thing. I was like, that should have been your main villain guy, and he should have just had a team of these guys that are, and I think that was kind of hard to swallow, that this guy is the most villainous guy that like kind of everyone feared, I guess, or knew of. But yeah, I want to talk about the music real quick, because I thought the score, when the score came in, you got all the stuff that you feel when you're like watching a superhero movie. Like when it swells and she's doing something cool, you feel it. Yeah. But they have this moment. I'm just gonna bring up.
You can bring up.
They do a cover. Yeah. They do a cover of Jimmy Eat World's "The Middle," which I love Jimmy Eat World. I love Bleed American. That album's great.
Right.
But they do a cover right in the middle of this battle scene. And right before it is all this kick-ass score.
Yeah.
That you're like, yeah, she is fucking kicking ass. And then it's like, then a cover by some pop star of Jimmy Eat World's The Middle comes in. And it's like, why?
It was
like,
weak.
If you're just going to do it, just play the fucking song, because it's like heavier and a little faster than the cover.
The money. Come on.
Yeah, and it's like
Warner Brothers.
It's just, I think it slowed the scene down.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I still love the scene. I think that final battle's great. The weakest part is the fucking song right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And some other music cues. The other music cue I didn't really care for is when the Modest Mouse song comes on.
Yeah.
Like when she gets onto I was like, because like that banjo starts playing, and I was like, that's fucking weird. Like, did we just move to the country? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I liked and
then I was like, this is Modest Mouse? I was like, why?
Yeah, I liked kind of the big swing of the music stuff, but, you know, I've also said in other podcasts and things that I'm not a biggest fan of James Gunn's style of picking music. However, I think he does have a little bit more weight with his choices than that particular choice. That kind of just seemed out of nowhere, and I'm just like, I was like sitting back, Craig, how does this have any context to Supergirl right now? Just get us, the score was great, you know, there.
I didn't mind when they were doing like the montage with her headphones on when she's like getting drunk and just living that, you know, party girl lifestyle. Like that was just like a super poppy song that I was like, it's ultimately like kind of forgettable, but it's like it lets you know that she's like having fun doing the drinking thing, and it just sounds like probably something people around her age listen to today. And I was like, that's fine. But it's like these like deep cut, like those like, you know, early 2000 album drops and then a really terrible cover that I was like, why? That score was great before you ruined it with the Middle cover, and then and then the Modest Mouse thing was okay. It didn't like take me super out of it. I just didn't understand why this song was used for that moment. And there's another song she listens to later on in the movie when she's like trying to block out all of her like superpowers. And I was like, that's fine. I get it. She's listening to some pop song. That doesn't bug me. Like you could have put in any song at that point. I've been like, that's cool. I just think for like those like that big action scene at the end, that's when you need that swelling score. That like that's when you like, you know, I don't know who did the score here, but that's where you need that John Williams like fucking like kick ass.
Or if you're gonna take one of those big music swings, like get a song that has somewhat more like a contextual dynamic with what's going on in your film, you know what I mean? Something that has maybe like a lyrical metaphor or something that kind of matches either where the story was going or where they're at in that scene, you know? Because it was really just to point out that Ruthie was like in the middle of the battlefield.
Yeah. You know, and that everything will be all right. Will be all right. Like,
yeah, it's like, okay, Craig, thanks. Like, I'm not mad at you, but it's like a party, you know? They play play the regular song. Don't play the sappy, slower version of the song. It would have been more impactful, maybe, I'm
just gonna say, I don't think Supergirl is emo enough to listen to Jimmy Eat World. I'm just saying.
Right, yeah, maybe when Ruthie ends up in Metropolis, you know, and she discovers her sweet little indie folk version of Jimmy Eat World.
The only way I would have accepted is if there was a Bleed American poster on her spaceship wall somewhere, or in Ruthie's bedroom. I would have been like, all right, that's fine, you can do that now.
Yeah, I think it just ultimately would have been better if they just paid the money to get Jimmy Eat World song on the soundtrack.
Dude, I just think you cut that song. I think that music, the battle's going, the score is just so like, it does its job at that moment. And then when that song kicks in, you're like, I literally did it, like shook my head, like what the fuck, like what's gonna happen now? Like, is the battle gonna like? It was kind of jarring to me that you would do that at that moment, because there's so much momentum to that scene. I was like, the score's great, all this cool shit's going on. Like, I don't need lyrics over the fighting noises and the, you know, what was happening. I was like, the score is serviceable. That's what you get someone to do a score for,
right?
You know. Like, I'll let, like, the Modest Mouse slit, like, you know, whatever, that's fine. It's just, I feel like your final battle scene, it's just like, you don't need a bad cover. Like, you just need a good score.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. And that scene really called for, and it seemed like what you're saying, it seemed like right before that cover popped on, they were ramping up with a pretty good score elements, you know. So it's a strange choice. I think there were a lot of little choices like that throughout the movie that kind of stuck out. You're like, wait, what? But me, I was battling with those damn chairs that were knocking me around. I had snuck in a couple of high noons.
You're like, I got bruises on my body.
Yeah, but man, I was like, I couldn't fucking hold it. I was like, that shit was splashing out of the can. And I choked there for a second. And anyway, that shit was really hard to deal with as I was watching the film. But anyway, I want to put an image of Lobo on the screen real quick. Right now I'm clicking through parts of the trailer just as visual aids, but I wanted to get a good shot of Lobo in there just so we had him. We already talked about him, but so overall, what would you rate it? I think we both kind of ascribe to the Letterboxd 5-star system, although here we do crumbs.
Yeah,
but if you're
it's 5 crumbs.
If you're so inclined, you could do 5 out of 5 behemoths, but I do out of 5 crumbs.
I'll do out of the crumbs. This is your thing. I'm just a guest that's allowed to come on and say my piece with you.
Okay, then I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So out of 5 crumbs, I think because I enjoyed it so much, and I'm now a newly minted kind of DC head. I'm getting really into DC Comics and the characters and stuff. More about that later. But I'm really excited for DC Studios. I hope it kind of avoids any kind of superhero fatigue or gets, has kind of an upswing that really, astounds the fans, maybe shows us something we haven't seen before. So, but anyway, they're minor gripes. Overall, I think it's pretty good. I think at first I kind of wanted to give it just an average, but anyway, out of 5 crumbs, I'm going to go ahead and give it 3.5 crumbs. I think it's deserving of that half, because where it works, it really works, and she looked good in that Supergirl suit, and she's a dynamic character, not just two-dimensional. So I think where it really counted with the 3 main leads, Lobo included there, I think he was in it enough to kind of be considered somewhat of a lead. Were really compelling. They were really fun to watch. The action was great. I'm looking forward to her turning up in Man of Tomorrow, potentially. How about yourself, Odd Behemoth? What are you thinking out of 5?
I really enjoyed this movie. I had a great time at it. I don't think this is going to get like your random people into a movie theater see it, because I just don't think it's strong enough. I think the highs are really high, but the lows are also kind of low for me on this.
Ooh. Fair enough.
And I think it's just probably studio people getting involved. I mean, Craig Gillespie, I was kind of looking through his filmography here, and so, like, Lars and the Real Girl I really like. I, Tonya I thought was great, but like his Fright Night remake, which I really enjoy, Anton Yelchin, RIP, wish he was still around. I'd love to see what he would be up to, what he'd be doing. But my biggest issue with Fright Night is it's a great remake. It's just hindered by dumb CGI vampire shit.
Okay, fair enough.
And I feel like that kind of like, I don't know if he doesn't know how to use CG or certain things, or I just don't know if he was the right person to make a Supergirl movie.
Fair, yeah.
I just feel like there was a lot of I don't know why Gunn chose him.
Does feel like anybody could have directed it. Not to say that was bad, but kind of in that company man kind of way. Anyway.
And I don't know who would I have picked. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I just feel like, and another thing Gunn has been saying is like, he's not making movies till the scripts are ready and they have to be good.
Yeah.
And to me, this script is okay. And I was like, so
not as good
like,
as the
what's
comic, I hear.
And I'm not judging it based off the comic versus the movie kind of thing. Like, I think they should have stuck more with it, a little more. Just because of what we got. I think you could have stuck with it, added Lobo, changed up the Krim character a little bit, and it still would have worked. But I just, to me, the script wasn't strong. I didn't think the humor was as strong as like a Gunn movie.
For sure. Yeah.
So it's
Better
like if
than
He's reading
Masters of the Universe, though, right?
dude, fucking yeah, I'll watch Supergirl any day of the week over fucking Masters of the Universe. That's another podcast for another time. Maybe the worst of the year roundup or something.
Oh, that'd be a good idea, actually.
But that being said, I had a great time at it. I love a comic book movie. I really don't. I think DC is headed in a good direction. If this is their first misstep, it could have been way worse.
Mm-hmm.
It could have fell flat. This could have been a 20%, like a 1-star movie. But it's a great time at the theater. This is something I'll probably rewatch, not a lot, but I'll definitely throw it on because I do think there are merits to it. I'm going to give it a straight 3 out of 5 crumbs.
3 out of 5. That sounds good. Hell yeah.
But it could go up. I mean, it could be something I just enjoy throwing on.
Yeah. I feel like eventually, potentially, this one will be remembered with a little bit more merit, maybe even with a cult status to it, because it's probably I haven't followed the box office numbers or anything, but I think they were tracking it not to do quite as well as hoped or whatever that is bullshit is.
Yeah.
But I think as long as they can maintain and continue moving in this direction with these characters, because there's so many I want to see. I can't wait to see the Green Lanterns get in the mix, and a new Flash, a new Batman, obviously, new Robin. Like, I want to see Nightwing. I mean, we're in the age now. We're about to be under X fever soon, mutant fever. But I think for DC to really be able to contend with the MCU moving forward, you gotta, I don't know what they got to do, obviously. But but I think that I think just like staying away from, maybe like what you're saying, staying kind of, Gunn, put your money where your mouth is, and make sure those scripts are really where they need to be.
Well, and I also think this is kind of like when they announced all the movies they were making and the directors, and I saw Craig Gillespie as like this. I was like, all right, I get like. Like his movies are like, they're almost there that they're great, besides like his indie, like I, Tanya's great. I love Lars and the Real Girl, but anything he's gotten a budget for, like Fright Night or even this, I think it's just like he misses the mark. Like, I just don't think he's like big time movie director. And kind of with Cruella, I enjoyed that movie, but I was like, what? She's a villain. Who cares? Like, Emma Stone's performances, it's a fun movie to watch, but I just don't understand what they're trying to do with like the Disney villains. Like, just keep them villains. Anyway,
it's like the new generation, and this is Adventures in Babysitting. Actually, it's nothing like that.
So like when I saw his name, and then when they were like, oh, we're gonna make a Swamp Thing, I was so stoked. I think Swamp Thing deserves a big budget movie. That would be awesome. Television series that came out several years ago was great.
I gotta watch that.
I really wish it would have gotten more seasons, because you can tell they played it safe so that they could do something cooler with a second season, but then they didn't get one. So why didn't they just pull out all the stops? Anyway, when they said James Mangold, and listen, dude's made good movies.
Yeah.
But I just do not like, don't give him Swamp Thing.
Yeah, he and Craig have the same problem, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest beef with Logan, it's the best Wolverine movie, but my biggest beef is that like he fights a younger version of himself, and that, like, I'm like, come on, man. I don't know. Yeah. But I just don't. I think these older guys, they're great. Like, I'll watch a James Mangold movie and I'll have a good time with it, but most of them are forgettable for me, and I don't really rewatch them a second time unless it's something like Logan or. But like, to me, like this movie and Swamp Thing, they should have picked like someone who's got a couple of films under their belt and needs that big budget. Like, give them a budget, see what they can do. I think some of these guys are just too Hollywood guys. Like, they're saying yes to everything, and not saying no to enough stuff.
Yeah, there's probably that, and there's not really an established pipeline lately. Now we're starting to see how like YouTubers are becoming, it's like YouTube to Hollywood pipeline for filmmaking, but it's really only horror so far, but I guess like a lot of horror guys will end up getting comic book stuff like Benson and Moorhead or something. But I
mean, they've already been doing Daredevil, so it's only a matter of time before they get a big budget, movie deal at some point.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's interesting to see who they're picking as far as directors, but I agree. I think I agree that the script itself could have been better, and from what I hear, this is not the same experience as Woman of Tomorrow, which really blew people away for quite a while, which I got to read.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'm just
No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just, I think there's a lot of talented filmmakers that need that chance, and I think if anything from this year has proven that like a 20-year-old can make a good movie and make it make money, and a 26-year-old can also do the same thing. And I'm not saying that like Kane Parsons should direct Swamp Thing. Could be cool.
You're saying Craig Gillespie's over the hill.
I'm just like get some newer talent in there to do stuff.
Yeah.
Pull from some of these guys from like the Marvel that aren't doing anything. That like Benson and Moorhead, like they've been on the TV kick. Pull them to do a fucking DC movie, man.
Yeah. I wonder if they're contractually obligated to Marvel or something.
I think the Philippou brothers who did Talk to Me, Bring Her Back, could do a really cool Swamp Thing. I think it'd be very interesting to see what they bring to that.
But I just think getting Gen Z, are they mature enough to really evoke the content of some philosophical
they'll take risks
Swamp Thing
and throw in they'll take risks and throw in cool Rogues Gallery villains to make a great movie. I'm afraid that James Mangold with Swamp Thing will try to make this existential what is it to be a plant man kind of thing, and I'm like, which is cool. I love the Alan Moore run and I get a lot of that, but I also want to see like a really cool Arcane story, and I don't want him to be like, well, we're gonna wait till see what this one does to really set up the world. I'm like, do it from the get-go, man. We know who Swamp Thing is. Do a quick recap, get me into some Arcane shit. Like, I want to see monsters.
What's Arcane? Can you describe? I'm not familiar with the Arcane.
He's the villain. He's like the main villain of the Swamp Thing universe.
Okay. He's the guy with the top hat. I remember from the movie back in the day. The toys, at least.
Maybe he did have a top hat in that, but there was a bunch of cool runs with like Jeff Lemire doing a really cool Swamp Thing run.
Yeah.
Scott Snyder did a really cool Swamp Thing run. Anyway, I feel like some of these guys are a little too old to be making comic book movies, and they follow the rules of like, this is what Hollywood wants, and this is what they've told us that will make money and will keep my job. And I just don't think they're taking those big swings like some of the new guys are, would want to if they had this property.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But that's my piece on.
Right on.
But Gunn's got to crack down on those scripts.
Yeah, he must actually, because we know he's got the sauce. So, it's one thing to sign off on people, but if they're not showing up to the gig the way that we expect, there's going to be hell to pay. No, I'm just kidding. But I feel like it's a good time to be a DC fan. And Mattel has the toy license now, so we're about to get a Marvel Legends Contender DC 6-inch figure. More on that later. But besides that, and the comics are really good. The World's Finest run right now is amazing, and a lot of other things right now. But what were you gonna say? I'm sorry. I think after this movie and then our next big one will be Spider-Man. I think if Spider-Man is like really, really good, that's gonna like kick Gunn in the pants to make sure he's releasing great DC stuff. Yeah, and that's
so I kind of hope this starts happening again, because for a while it was just Marvel was killing DC every time a movie came out.
Right.
And I really hope there's like a back and forth where it's like, shit, that Spider-Man was really good. God damn it, we got to. And then if Doomsday's good as well, which I don't. People are saying it won't be, but I don't know, man. I got faith. It'll be a fun time at the movies. I'm just hoping that this gets like a kind of nice like rivalry between the two companies to like up the game of like, what do we need to do different to match Brand New Day and Doomsday, and like, I hope that's like a good creative thing that like makes us get really great.
I think honestly
DC projects.
Yeah, I think honestly that's what both companies need right now, is a level of healthy competition that's going to make each project like go beyond audience expectations, because I think right now all the films this summer have actually been pretty fun, despite mixed feelings with this film or that film. It's all been pretty decent, but they're all about the same level. I think all the ratings we've given so far are around the 3, maybe 3.5 if they really have gotten us. So,
Yeah.
you know, I hope, like exactly what you're saying, that there's this level of healthy competition that's developed between the MCU and the DCU, and I think they really need each other now, to be honest. Especially with all the corporate fuckery of, like, you know, 4 companies owning literally everything. I think that kind of end stage capitalism kind of shit is factoring into our superhero movies. So, you know, we need to keep an eye on it, and that's what we do here. That's what we're trying to do here. But I have been your boy Crumb, and this is Odd Behemoth. Was there anything else you wanted to say about this movie, or anything you had to add?
Just keep comic book movies alive, man. I've been wanting them since I was a little kid in high school reading comic books. I don't want them to go away.
Yeah, that's true. And there's so much untread territory as far as live action films.
So much.
We still want our Last Ronin. Last Ronin's going to cap off, you know, our generation's Ninja Turtles. That's a travesty that, you know, somebody good's got to jump on that. But anyway, I agree. It's not so much about comic book fatigue or whatever. I'm sure for some people who are not interested in this kind of thing, but it's more just about like what you're saying, like, get those creative, hungry minds on these properties, and that's going to create that level of healthy rivalry.
I think if you make a really good comic book movie, you're going to get people that don't normally go comic book movies go see a comic book movie.
Yeah.
A great example of this is when the big event of Infinity War and Endgame were coming out. My roommates at the time had no desire. They hadn't watched any of them. And then they saw the trailer and they're like, oh, so they're all teaming up? I was like, yeah, where have you been? Anyway, you know, and then they're like, oh, now I'm more interested. And they went back and rewatched them. As many of them, they asked me which ones they should watch. They watched them, and then they went and saw Infinity War, and they had a great time. They're like, dude, I'm so excited for Endgame. So if you make a good event movie for the non-comic book fan, they will go see it. You just have to make a good one. And word of mouth will get you out to see the movies, because people will be like, this was great.
Yeah.
This is a theater experience. You have to go see it.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So I don't think it's about fatigue. I think it's about just having a solid fucking movie that's enjoyable, that anyone can go watch, but still have stuff for the fans. And it's all doable. We've seen it be done so many times. It's so sad that that stuff still still people fuck it up, because you're like, dude, it's right here, just follow this template, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
where we are at this juncture, it could really go either way, and it would be sad to see, you know, just the love and care.
I don't want to go back.
Yeah, it would be sad to see these comic book movies go back to like Spawn level of quality, just because the only people who can get them are like Asylum or something, you know, and though the effort would be you know, somewhat appreciated, at least somebody's trying something, it would not be good. So but anyway, I think I'm ready to go ahead and dock at the nearest space station and get me a Glorble McGlooble at the Bliblam.
I want some of that shit popcorn that she was eating in Supergirl.
That's right. Yeah, I was trying to reference some kind of alien snack.
See the movie, you'll get what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Spoiler. No, I'm just playing. But in that regard, I think I'm signing off. Anything else you wanted to say? You got a catchphrase?
I wish. I'm not that cool, dude.
Next secret meeting will probably be Spider-Man Brand New Day. I still want to get some horror stuff in. I loved Mother of Flies. And that dropped earlier this year. Really great, beautiful horror film by the Addams Family, who I'm just now getting into. But we'll try and get there.
Good. Everyone watch their stuff.
Odd Behemoth will be back for more chats, and we'll see you soon. I love you.
Bye-bye.